The Philippine archipelago is located in the Pacific Ring of Fire, where two major tectonic plates meet, and along the Typhoon Belt in the Northwest Pacific Basin. Due to its geologic setting and geographic location, natural hazards abound. Tropical cyclones, floods, landslides, earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. In addition to these natural hazards are human-induced hazards and emerging global concerns that the country has to contend with: conflagration, land, air, and sea mishaps, terrorism, and climate change. Because of the Philippines' vulnerability to natural hazards, the Hazards Mapping and Assessment for Effective Community-Based Disaster Risk Management Project is developed. The project is dubbed as READY, to connote action towards preparedness in terms of natural disasters. The READY project is a collaboration between the government of the Philippines and the United Nations Development Program, or UNDP, with the government of Australia. Funding support for this initiative is from UNDP and the Australian Agency for International Development, or AusAid. The main implementers of the project are the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC, and the Collective Strengthening of Community Awareness for Natural Disasters, or CISCAN. The implementing agency, the Office of Civil Defense, works with the responsible agencies, namely the Mines and Geosciences Bureau, or MGB, and the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority, or NAMRIA, both of the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, and the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, and the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, both of the Department of Science and Technology. The national government enjoins the cooperation of the local government units, or LGUs, and partners in the private sector like smart telecommunications, specifically in the implementation of the community-based disaster risk management component of the project. Of the 79 provinces of the country, 27 were identified to be priority recipients of this undertaking. Mostly located in the eastern seaboard, these provinces are considered to be of greatest risk because of their vulnerability to a number of natural hazards. The READY project aims to address the problem of disaster risk management, or DRM, at the local level. To achieve this, however, both national and local initiatives are necessary. At the national level, the project aims to institutionalize and standardize DRM measures and processes. At the community level, it aims to empower the most vulnerable municipalities and cities in the Philippines and to enable them to prepare DRM plans and to integrate such plans in their respective land use and physical development programs. The project develops a systematic approach to community-based DRM through scientific multi-hazard mapping as a first step in risk assessment. Natural hazards for assessment include hydrometeorological hazards such as floods, storm surges, and rain-induced landslides. Earthquake-related hazards such as ground rupture, ground shaking, liquefaction, earthquake-induced landslides and tsunamis, and volcanic hazards. The READY project develops and installs early warning systems for the three sudden onset hazards, namely floods, flash floods, tsunamis, and rain-induced landslides. The warnings are understandable and with accompanying operational manuals. They must also be integrated into the community's disaster management program. To enhance the knowledge and awareness of communities on disaster preparedness, information, education, and communication or IEC campaigns were conducted on site for community leaders and residents, teachers, local chief executives, and other disaster risk reduction and management or DRRM stakeholders. The IEC campaigns involved the conduct of simplified technical presentations and workshops and the production and dissemination of information materials such as flyers, brochures, and posters. Recognizing the emerging paradigm that DRM should be integrated into sustainable development planning, the mainstreaming of disaster risk reduction into the local planning process is encouraged. This initiative includes the provision of the Rapid Earthquake Damage Assessment System or REDAS software and the conduct of users training. REDAS is seismic hazard simulation software that aims to produce hazard and risk maps immediately after the occurrence of a strong earthquake or for a potentially damaging earthquake. This software also integrates the multi-hazard maps under the READY project and builds up exposure database. After the conduct of a series of these activities, the recipient province is revisited for the turnover of final hazard maps and for an assessment and evaluation of the established community-based early warning system, knowledge management, and sustained DRRM activities of the covered areas. The initiatives under this project were replicated in some other communities, from the putting up of signage and the installation of early warning devices to the conduct of drills and exercises. To date, multi-hazard mapping activities are fully completed in 15 provinces, while IEC activities were conducted in 13 provinces. Project activities for the 27 priority recipient provinces are in varying stages of accomplishment. The successful conduct of the READY project programs brought forward other projects that would help the Philippines address its vulnerability to disasters. These projects include the AusAid-funded Enhancing Greater Metro Manila Capacities for Effective Disaster Climate Risk Management towards Sustainable Development for the Greater Metro Manila Area, or the READY for GMMA project, and the policy support for harmonizing common and interlocking issues of the National Disaster Risk Management Act and the Climate Change Act. There are also the Canadian International Development Agency-funded Building Community Resilience and Strengthening Local Government Capacities for Recovery and Disaster Risk Management, or the Resilience Project. The Government of Australia funded Enhancing Risk Analysis Capacities for Floods, Typhoons, Severe Winds, and Earthquakes for the Greater Metro Manila Area, or the Risk Analysis Project. And the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA, Technical Cooperation Project for Disaster Management Capacity Enhancement in the Philippines. The READY for GMMA project aims to decrease the vulnerability of the Metro Manila area and its suburbs to natural hazards and increase their resilience by strengthening the institutional capacities of LGUs, concerned national government agencies, academic institutions, and civil society organizations to manage disaster and climate change risks. The policy support for harmonizing common and interlocking issues of the National Disaster Risk Management Act and the Climate Change Act is an initiative which aims for a rationalized policy environment for integrated DRR and climate change adaptation, mainstreaming into national and local planning and decision-making processes in the Philippines. The Resilience Project intends to contribute to national efforts in building community resilience and reducing vulnerability to natural hazards by enhancing capacities of LGUs and other stakeholders towards good governance in DRRM. The outcome is to strengthen community resilience to the effects of natural hazards and disaster risks in the cities of Marikina and Pasig and in the municipality of Cainta. The Risk Analysis Project is a component of the Metro Manila Post-Quezana Recovery and Reconstruction Program of AusAid. This project seeks to analyze the risk from floods, severe winds, and earthquakes in GMMA through the development of fundamental data sets and information on hazard, exposure, and vulnerability. Finally, the JICA project for disaster management capacity enhancement in the Philippines aims to enhance the DRRM capacity of key government agencies. The project includes national DRRM planning, information management and standard operating procedures, human resources development, and promotion of community-based DRM activities and corresponding guidelines. As a nation, we share the burden of disaster risks. While our resources are limited to finance disaster risk management activities, these are made possible through the help of generous partners around the globe. We act and pull our resources together to ease the burden. With the leadership of the national government, the collaboration of stakeholders, and the involvement and proactive participation of communities, we could continue to take concrete steps towards our vision of a safer and more resilient nation.